Alright, good morning guys. So, I didn't get to play the Elemental Jacobs yesterday, so there unfortunately won't be a video of it today, but I'm gonna go ahead and look at the subreddit, because it's been a while, and I'm kind of interested in seeing what people have done. The very first post is about the movie. I am going to approach the movie with a very, very low, I have very low expectations. I know there's a lot of massive actors in it. I know that there are a lot of people who are really fanatical about Borderlands and they're like really passionate and they think that Gearbox can do no wrong, but I've seen how they've handled their games recently and I don't think that just because there are big actors in it that it'll go over well. I mean, obviously I hope it goes well. I really, really do, but like I don't expect it to. And I mean, it's just how it is. If it goes well, cool. If it doesn't, I won't really be surprised. So that's really all I feel about it. Should I wait until max level to spend them? Okay, so they have golden keys and they're trying to decide, do I want to keep these? Do I want to use them? What should I do? I think if you know how to play Borderlands 2 and you have a vague idea of where everything in the game is, just spend them whenever. Realistically. Like, there are no points in progression where a character is really aching for equipment if you know where all of the equipment is. Now, if you don't, sure, but that's up to you. Also, don't feel bad about using golden keys. There are some people who are like, oh, these are trash or whatever, but unless you're doing like a challenge run, where you feel like that would make the challenge run way too easy, that's the only time where I wouldn't like use them. But like it doesn't matter. Go for it. You can use them. Is this good for fire rate? People say monk is good. What does it do though? Okay. So these posts are weird to me because they're asking a question with the item right in front of them with all of the stats displayed and all of the nice stuff that's on it. I guess the main thing you should know is that a monk class mod is considered our best money shot class mod for Salvador. So if you're running a build that really takes advantage of money shot, this would be the sort of class mod you would look out for. Now, this one specifically has reload and fire rate on it. It could have crit, it could have the reload, the fire rate, it could have weapon accuracy, it can have mag size. So you just kind of have to like look out for that type of stuff. And then Money Shot is the top skill you want, so +6 is nice. And then Asbestos is the better second skill, because elemental dots in late game are really painful, so getting them off of your character sooner is better. So yeah, that's why we use it. You could just use a Raider Comm, and you could use that with like a Fabled Tortoise, a low level one, to get the movement speed out of it. But realistically, the Monk just has such a better use case. How good is this Maggie? Okay, so first off, they're in the first playthrough, so any Maggie is a good Maggie. I just want to put that out there. Second off, for the grip, I would prefer more mag size, so a Jacobs or a Bandit grip would be nice early, because that's more shots that you can use on enemies, because in normal mode, you don't really need a lot of damage. So the more bullets you can put down range instead, the better with a Maggie. And then they do have 2 for prefix. There's a lot of debate about whether or not 2 for is worth it. I personally don't think it is, especially not in first playthrough, because it doubles your ammo spent while only giving you like not that much more damage. I mean, it's a lot more obviously, but it's not like ×2 exactly. And you would have a more cost-effective weapon if it just had like damage prefix. Jackenstein is the worst boss in the series. That's it. That's the post. Okay. I feel like this is like, we can talk about this for a little bit. So someone says Vora. Vora is a really good point. Vora is really, really hard, and at OP10 they accidentally doubled his health pool and they haven't come back to fix it because it's Gearbox, so you know, we live. And then someone else says Dexy. I don't see the problem people have with Dexy outside of the cost of spawning him and then having to sit there and wait for him to actually spawn. But you just stay far away, you just pop a couple shots at him, you just stay away from him, you win, you don't really like, you're not at risk. Even if you die, it's just like 7% of your cash is gone and you can still fight him. His health bar doesn't reset. So I don't really see a problem with him. What I do see a problem with is the BA Rex from Torg DLC that is made entirely of reflective material and has crit spots that can all be broken, and then the boss will still have over half of its health bar left. And then if you shoot it, there's a chance that your pellets will reflect directly at you, and if they're elemental, you'll take a dot, and then you might just die. So I feel like that's a lot worse, but I understand why a new player would think like Jackenstein specifically would be difficult, for sure. What is the coolest looking gun in Borderlands history? Well, I mean the Moxie skins are pretty good, but I do like the Evil Smasher, even though it has a pretty basic skin idea. I don't know why, I just think it's neat. It's got like the little doodles on it. It's got a normal Vladoff barrel on the front instead of the spinny barrel, which you won't find on many guns that you actually want to use. So I just think it's neat for that. Obviously, it used to be a lot better than it is now, but that's okay. It had its time under the sun, and it was insanely overpowered, so it definitely deserved the nerf that it got. Borderlands 1's Game of the Year map in 4K. Okay, we're in the Borderlands 2 subreddit, but this is really cool. So how accurate is this? How, like, okay, you can really get in on this thing, and that's super duper cool. So let's see, we've got pretty much, yeah, I mean, this is the map. It's just upscaled. You've got all the stuff and the things. It's all pretty cool. Yeah, this is just cool. Is it just me, or is he wearing a bee shield? Oh, okay. So this is one of those things where enemies don't follow the properties of shields properly. So this ultimate BA probably does just have a normal amp shield on, but they don't take damage whenever they shoot. So they just constantly get to apply that amp, and it's not really because they're wearing a bee shield or something like that. In all my years of playing this game, I've never seen this. 2 Lescos spawn instead of 1. Okay, so this is normal. If you enter Frostburn Canyon, a Lesco spawns. If you leave, and then you come back, a second one spawns. And if you just keep doing that, you can get as many to spawn as you want until maybe your game crashes, but you'd have to do that so many times for that to happen. And yeah, it's a good way to get like a good rolled one, or if you're playing Salvador and you're like really early into normal mode, you can get 2 to Gunzerk with without having to like save quit for another one. But besides that, there's not really an amazing use case for it. Maybe money if you're really strapped, but I wouldn't really want to rely on that. But yeah, this is a thing. It's in the game, and it's just kind of weird, I guess. Is anarchy a necessity for Gaige? Okay. No, in the same way that no skill is required for any character, but also it will deal all of your damage if you do spec it. I'm just saying, you, like, yeah, you could go without it. You could just choose to build around Death Trap, and you could try to just use, like, Shock, and you could just exist. But it's 1 point. 5 if you, well, 6 if you want to get close enough to make sure your pellets can actually still hit. But it's just 1 point. And then it changes Gaige to one of the highest DPS characters in the game. So it's not necessary, but it sure does help. Who remembers this TMNT side quest mission from BL2? Well, I want to respect the fact that this person is probably really nostalgic about the game, but we're still here, so we actively still use it, and yeah, we remember it. And Krieg is fun. Dude, Krieg is so fun. Honestly, anytime that I play Krieg, I find that I have a great time playing him. Like, it's just so good. There's something about him. He's just so aggressive and so fun. But I always end up reverting back to playing like Maya or something like that. But yeah, he's just, the fact that you can just do this, and it's like, oh, my health dropped. Oh, it's full again. Oh, I'm gonna one-shot this guy. Bam. Oh, 2-shot. Doesn't matter. Close enough. Yeah, the fact that you can just do this is like absolutely absurd. He's such a fun character for it though. What is the worst build you can think of? Okay, I really think that in Borderlands, even if you have a bad build, the equipment and like anything else can really kind of make up for it. Obviously, if you don't have Moxie healing, or if you don't have a really aggressive heal, then that'll kind of ruin it for you. But I'm curious what other people think. So Sniper Gaige with full anarchy, that's pretty fair. You could use the Hot Mama, but then you're only really dealing fire damage, and that's only good for that. But I mean, it's Gaige with close enough, so realistically they will still probably deal good damage. It's just that you're not going to be able to go for headshots and stuff like that. You'll more just be just spamming towards the enemy vaguely, and obviously you would benefit more from using other guns, but it's still Gaige with full anarchy, so it's actually probably useful still. Infinity build 0 if we're talking about builds people actually use. Melee Axton if we're just making stuff up. Okay. Infinity, I get it. I get the draw, the appeal of wanting to play Infinity 0. It's okay. You can do it, it's fine, it does damage, it's funny. But yeah, there's better ways to play Zero. I mean, Critical Ascension exists, his melee build exists, more general gun builds exist, but there's such a draw to the Infinity because you can get one shot, one kill, and then you can run that with an Infinity and a B shield, and then you're not really listening to the Infinity's damage anymore, you're kind of just listening to the B shield's damage, but people don't realize that. But it's still totally a build, and it's still pretty fun to use as a gimmick every once in a while. And then, yeah, Melee Axton doesn't exist. I mean, he exists in the same way that putting a Roid Shield and a Rapier in someone's hand exists, and that's really about it. I don't think he was ever meant to be a melee character, and it's pretty obvious that only like 2 characters were really ever made to be melee. But if you want to go for it, I mean, go for it. I have a personal disdain for Thought Lock. So, I want to point out, if you rely on aim assist, Thought Lock doesn't allow you to lock on to the target that you Thought Locked. So just keep that in mind. If you find you have a really hard time shooting your Thought Lock to target, that's just the game's not holding your hand. You're kind of just missing shots because lol. Alright, I think we're already getting towards the bottom. So guys, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. More of the playthrough will be happening soon. And then, of course, I do want to look at Borderlands next. So as soon as this character hits OP10, because that's the only criteria I have for the Elemental Jacobs run, we're going to immediately start Borderlands. I wanted to wait a little bit because I know it got really popular and it got really hyped, and I wanted to see what the mod author would do with it first because of all of that popularity. But we will be getting into that next. But that'll do it for today. If you've been hanging out for a while, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe. And that's pretty much it. Have a nice day. See you guys later.